up, y'all? How's it going? My background music isn't working. Of course. Let me see if I can do a thing. Is it working? Oh, it's very quiet. Hang on, let me try this. Do you hear something? Do you hear music? We'll see how that goes. Howdy, y'all. Happy Thursday. It has been... Can you hear it now? Maybe? Let me know. Happy Thursday. It has been so long since I've streamed. I say that aggressively, but I've been wanting to stream for so long, but I had Microsoft Build, which was at the beginning of July, and it was all-consuming, just so much work. And then after Microsoft Build, I got a sty in my eye, and then I've just been like in a lot of meetings and stuff at work. And so we're back. Hey, how's it going? I'm gonna not promise come weekly anymore, as much as I want to come weekly regularly. It has been a time to be alive. But anyway, it's good to see all of y'all in the chat. Hey Connor. Hey Ryan. Hey everybody. Wow, my brain is fully not functioning. This is not gonna make for a good stream, is it? We should work on something. I have been doing all the things with the GitHub Copilot app recently, which has been fun. I say it like that because it is a glorified session manager, but like agent session manager. But there are some nice to haves where I'm trying to make it do more, if that makes sense. And I'll share my screen in a second while I pull things up. One thing that I have liked to... Oh, I have to restart it. Great. Okay, hang on. Sorry. I was about to pull it up on the screen, but I get all of like the internal employee builds, which is cool, but that also means I have to restart it constantly because we have to dog food the most recent build every single time. So please hold while I make that happen. And I'm sorry if you hear Outlook in the background. I can't make it stop. Oh wait, what if I mute it? 1 second. Let me try to mute just Outlook. All of this admin-y stuff I would have done before starting the stream, but been busy. How was Microsoft Build? It was fun. It was fun after. During it was so much work that I can't say I had the best time, but at the same time it was like interesting to... The process for doing a keynote on the main stage is huge. Like it is a very, very intense process where I'll give you a little behind the scenes, but when you do a keynote on the big stage, the prep for it starts about 3 weeks in advance, like not even a month in advance. And when you do that, then you have to, how do I even describe it? You have to rehearse constantly. They actually counted the number of rehearsals that we did, where it was like, rehearse the exact talk in front of executives where they review it. I had to do, I think, 23 rehearsals of the exact talk. And that's outside of like the practice sessions with like just my team. I mean, like those were like 23 rehearsals in front of like the executives. And every single time you do a rehearsal, you get notes and you have to rehash it again. And so with the keynote that I did for Microsoft Build, that we like made a demo and then we were told, oh, make sure you include this technology. And then you have to build something with the technology. It has to work well. And then you have to narrate the story. Like it's a story of like, why would I actually build these things? How do they cohesively go together? Do the talk, do the technical demo, make a video of the technical demo so that way people in the meeting could review it, get all the notes, start over again. And it was so much work. It was so much work. And they threw multiple different technologies at us. Because the GitHub Copilot app is so new, we had to like it was updating so constantly that there were even points where I was just like, I want to be able to do this in it. And the team would have to actually implement the feature so that I could do it in the demo. And you're right, it does seem too complicated, but at the same time, that's the process. Because it's not so much like, oh, they have to look at you a certain way, they have to witness whatever. It's like, how do I describe it? You are creating the story in front of the executives, and they want to help control the narrative, if that makes sense. And so because they're helping control the narrative, but you're also the storyteller in the room, that is the process for how the story gets told. Where you're right, it is too complicated, but that is just it. And there's that phrase, like, the most dangerous phrase in the language is, we've always done it this way, from Grace Hopper. And yet that is how it's always been done. Every big keynote you see is done this way. And when an executive is giving the keynote, they have a speechwriter that writes the speech for them and they deliver it. When it's someone like little old me, I write it, but I have a team that's working with me on the technical demo, on everything. We hash it out together. We were literally locked in a room in the GitHub office. There was one day where it was a full 16 hours of just working on this, literally 8 a.m. to midnight. And we rehash it, we do it, we present it, we find holes, we fix it during live all rehearsals and everything, and then we do it again and again and again and again. And if an executive says, hey, that little feature that you mentioned, make it bigger, yeah, make it bigger. And so, yeah, anyway, it is a very, very, very complex process. If you didn't see the keynote, I could pull it up. I'm not actually going to show it in front of you because I don't want to hear my own voice, but I will show you the video and I can send a link. 1 second. Let me pull it up. It is on YouTube in a variety of places. This one, oh boy. Ah!
I'm so
Oh my goodness, I just said that I didn't want to show that and here we are. That is who I am. That is the video that I did. I'm going to plop it in the chat here so that way you can see it. As you watch it, just know this demo took years off of my life. And the fact that it works was a miracle. And I'm not saying that because the tech is bad, genuinely. I'm saying that because there were so many updates constantly, that they literally updated the app that morning. And we had to adjust the demo. I'm gonna make this like a darker color. Is that better? I don't like that. 1 second as I adjust the theme of the GitHub Copilot app here. Oh, that's kind of cute. Yeah, but anyway, literally the app updated that morning. The technology that we were updating was that morning. Everything was updating that morning. And they shortened the entire keynote by a solid hour that morning. And so everything was moving all the time, always. And in the back, there's so many people behind the scenes. I'm not exaggerating. 200 people, something like that, just behind the big stage controlling everything. They've got live translators. They've got people handling all of the sign language. They've got people handling all of the teleprompters. They have a whole dedicated backup machine area where if a demo starts to go wrong, there's a shadow person that literally just follows your mouse and typing while you're doing it. Like I had a shadow while I was doing the live demo where if something went wrong for whatever reason, they would flip to his machine, which was an exact clone of mine, except he was just following where I was clicking so that I could continue to pretend to click while speaking as if I was controlling it. Luckily, mine didn't have to switch to the backup machine, especially because I had a live webcam on mine, but it was a lot where one of the demos, and I'm not going to say which one, they actually did have to do that, where his machine crashed in the middle of his, and they did the most magical switch ever, where like people cheered like silent screaming in the back, where they switched computers. The shadow person was clicking, doing the exact things, and then they were able to be like, okay, the live computer's good now, and then switched it back to the live computer mid-demo. Literally, people were high-fiving, people were like, it worked! because there's a lot of eyeballs on these big stages, and you never know who is seeing, who is watching. And it was a miracle, and it looked seamless online. Once again, I can say this and not tell you who it was, and you won't know, because it was magical how seamless it was. But that's just a small example. There's microphone people, there's hair and makeup people, there's outfit people, there's stage managers, there's lighting people, there's so many different, so that's how the shadow dom works. Yeah, there's so many different humans to make a big keynote work. And it's interesting too, because they have a lot of opinions, but at the same time you're supposed to have opinions as a presenter, but you have to present them at the right timing. And that was an interesting learning for me, where if it was me, I would have a freak out. That's right, Michelle. And I did. There were multiple times where my team was just like, can we just have a screaming moment where we'd mute ourselves and just, ah! And then we'd go back and be like, okay, let's fix the demo. There were so many meetings and so many times. Whoa, 20 stream streak. Nice, thanks for coming. That's so fun. There was one point, and it was the week before the event. No, it wasn't even the week before the event. It was like 3 or 4 days before the event, where they had said, you know what? The way that the technology is being pulled and stuff, it doesn't make sense. What if you reverse the entire order? Make it so that way this part goes first, this part goes here, and then go this way. And we'd be like, okay, this is a lot, but we can do it. We worked late into the night that Thursday. My teammate was working on stuff. I was working on rehashing the script, all of that. We were able to record a final demo to present to executives that Friday afternoon. And then we were going to fly to San Francisco to the event Saturday morning. And that Friday afternoon, they're like, we don't like it. Could you go back to a few versions ago? The violence I felt in that moment cannot be described with words, I should say, in public. It was the most infuriating feedback. And I had to, you have to put on your most professional face. And, in that professional face, I had to be just like, well, if we're going to be going back, here's what we're going to need from you. I need you to explain exactly the order that we're doing. Don't worry about the actual nuances and transitions in the script. You've seen what we have. You give me the exact order. I'm getting on a plane. I'm spending this Friday night with my family. I'm getting on a plane. I will look at it tomorrow when I land in San Francisco. But until then, I am not working on this anymore because we're out of time. And I had to do that in as calm, cool, and collected, while also I'm speaking to very important executives that make a whole lot more money than me. And it was a good learning experience. I don't recommend it. But at the same time, it was good to get FaceTime with people. It wasn't all negative. It was just, there were a lot of frustrating moments. Also, thank you so much for the subscribes, y'all. It's been very, very fun. Photo Gabble, Larry David 411. Is that you, Larry David? Quick side note, if you are a subscriber, you can join our Discord group, whether it's a gift sub, regular sub, prime sub, and chat about memes and tech stuff and all that jazz. Anyway, Microsoft Build. That rehearsal process was a lot, and it was so much work. And I had 7 talks at Microsoft Build in those 2 days, in addition to booth duty, where I man the booth and answer questions. So anyway, I did not sleep very well. It was a very long time. I did enjoy getting to see my teammates. I did enjoy getting to experience Build for the first time in person. Whew. It was a whole lot of work. Coding Bara, hello world. Good to see you. Have you ever thought about doing a talk on how to avoid burnout? I've written a blog post on it, so I suppose I could turn that into a talk. But man, just thinking about Build, that was exhausting. And we're gonna have to do it again for GitHub Universe. It's okay, we got time. Doing these types of big company keynotes is no joke, but at the same time, it's a very interesting and unique experience, for sure. And so I'm going to show the thing that I actually told them, and I say this I say this as a transition. I talked about the GitHub Copilot app in the keynote, and I went off script. After all those rehearsals, I ended up actually going off script because I had gotten feedback at the very, very last second. You cut out all of your personality. Could you make it funny again? And I was like, yes. But we also cut all of my jokes out of the script on purpose so that we could get to all the points. And so in order to say all of the jokes that I wanted to say, also, hey Melanie, I see you in the chat, to be able to say all of the jokes that I wanted to do, I had to completely go off script. And so when opening the app, you see this here, and I would say, this is your new home base for development and operations on your computer, and we think you're going to love it. And then what I added to the talk without telling people was, before I get into the serious stuff, look at this. And then you can drag the little Octocat in here. And then not only that, it's a game. And you can play the game on here. I'm going to jump right there. Woo! Look at that. It's so fun. She flies. This was not a part of the keynote script. That was completely something that I added because I was like, this will make developers laugh a little bit. And then beyond that, I made some jokes about like the automations that I have. I added some more details about what the My Work tab contains. There were a few things in there that I had to add ad hoc after all of these rehearsals and after fully just memorizing the script and drilling it into my brain, which was honestly nerve-wracking and more nerve-wracking than it should have been, because you've got all these eyes on you and you've had all of this feedback from executives for weeks, and executives that control your paycheck. And so once again, that is a high level of what that was like, and the reason why I did not stream directly after the event, and why I got an eye sty as soon as I got back, I think, because it was I see David in the chat, but sounds like corporate. That's right, it was corporate, but it was a cool experience. Now there's something in the app that we're kind of figuring out how to, I don't want to say how to define better, but it's new, and it's called canvases. And if you saw the keynote talk, you know what those are, and if you didn't, that's okay, I will show you. Canvases are a way to interact with your AI agent sessions, but not with chat. But at the same time, it can interact with the chat. And so for those of you who have been around my content for a while, you might have remembered when I talked about Brain Story, which was my startup's old app, where with Brain Story, you were able to speak out loud and talk about your ideas. And I've missed having Brain Story. I've like made my own little versions here and there to make it work a few times. And the concept of a canvas is you have your chat with your AI tool of choice saying like, hey, what are my latest issues? Like, what are my top issues to address? You can do that. You can choose whichever models you want. You can choose whichever branches you want. I'm going to do auto mode and let it just pick something. And you can say, I want to kick off sessions. I want these to happen. But please add something like when you're waiting in between agent sessions. That's what the little game is supposed to be for, where while you're waiting for agent sessions, you can play a game, which is a very fun thing. So I have that agent session going while I'm playing this game. That's what that's for. But anyway, while that is going, I could run a session in a different repo where I can look at this pull request and review it. I could go into this repo and add something. I can add a new repo by just clicking it or pulling it from anything and saying, okay, I want this repo in here. I don't have to clone it. I just click it and it's done. I'm actually going to remove that because I don't need that repo. Anyway, that's it. That is what it is. Do you hear that? Da, 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 da. That is what happens when a session is done. You can customize the sound that plays, which I think is very fun. I have it doing this like built-in Windows sound where it's all vibey, but then when I have a notification, it goes, "Hey, listen!" from Zelda. How's the weather there? We're melting in Prague. We are melting in Chicago too, and I think the UK is quite melty as well. Anyway, You can run multiple sessions in parallel across repos, have them talk to each other. You can orchestrate as many agents as you want. You can do all that. Agent, 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 AI, AI, EA. That is what a lot of my job is these days. So I said, what are my top issues to address? I could say all of that. I could say fix all of them in separate sessions, and it could do that right then and there and look at all of those. But it is a lot of words. And so something that we're experimenting with and that I think is neat is, in addition to having all of these words here, you can have canvases to kick off agents. And so one that I've created that, actually let me pull it up in a different window and I will show you what I'm talking about. Yeah. I have this thing called Brainstorm Hub. And Brainstorm Hub is my attempt at recreating my old startups app Brainstory in a GitHub Copilot app canvas. Is it an HTML canvas or something else? It is something else. I actually think naming things is hard, and we did not do a good job of that. We need to name things a little bit better, but c'est la vie, which is terrible French. Anyway, you can clone this Brainstorm Hub on my GitHub if you want, but you don't have to. I will show you what it does. So what this is my attempt at using a canvas in a way that works for me. It's still an early platform. I've given them so much feedback, but you can click use this template and create a new repository, which is what I did. And so I created a repository called Ideas with a Z. And what happens in Ideas with a Z is I can make a new session, and in that new session I could say open the canvas. And that opens the canvas for this repository. Once again, a canvas is a UI for interacting with agents. Fundamentally, technically under the hood, it is currently an iframe that has agentic APIs built in, that has a two-way conversation, where my canvas here that you see, this Brainstorm Hub, can talk to the chat and the chat can talk back and make commands and do things. I have coworkers where they use a canvas to visualize what are all my agent sessions running, can I merge them together, and visually just click and drag rather than typing things in the chat. What I've been doing is using it as a brainstorming hub where, for example, I wanted to make a blog post on the HTML rel attribute because I was just thinking about it. And so as I speak back and forth, I can then finish and save my idea, and it saves it into a markdown document here to the repo. And so the repo itself on GitHub has an ideas folder that all the ideas are saved into, but the interaction is controlled in this hub, where I could use voice mode in here. I don't actually know if it works while streaming. Let's find out. And I could say, I want to write a blog post about tea. Lately, I have been thinking that Spanish tea that's loose leaf is superior to any other tea that you can get in a bag in any other country. I love drinking tea that I get from Spain, and I think it's better than anything I can get in the US. It's been better than anything I can get anywhere else, and so I want to make the argument that Spanish tea is the best. I am doing this to trigger people in the audience. But anyway, I send that, and then when I send that, what it does Socratic questioning. And I've zoomed in as far as I can, so I hope that you can see that. It'll say, wow, you're really passionate about Spanish tea. I hear that you've had some standout experiences with it. What specifically makes it stand out to you? Is it the flavor, the quality of the leaves, how's it sourced, or something else? Whatever. What it does is it asks me questions about what I'm talking about, and the more it responds, the more I can get my ideas formulated. I can use it with any models that I want. Right now I'm using auto mode, which is Claude Haiku, but and that's really all I need for something like this. But you can do that with any model, using voice mode, using regular mode. And let me just say, it's just great, no explanation. I'm just gonna say that, and then I'll finish and save my idea really quick. Is it similar to Claude projects? Yes and no. Yes and no. It'll keep asking me questions until I hit finish and save idea. And then when I finish the idea, it takes in my transcript, and then it turns that into a summary document. All of these prompts are open source. And then it gives me a concept, and then I can riff on the idea and build off of it, or keep it in here, and then it's saved into my repo. This is my little usage of a canvas, and I like it. I ultimately want to move the chat into the canvas entirely and not actually have this sidebar, but I just haven't built that yet. There are different kinds of canvases. Right now, this is like the main kind where it's a glorified iframe, but it also can, for example, be a PowerPoint. It can also be a Word doc. It can also be a Figma document. What it is it's the exposure of those agentic APIs to a UI. And that's what makes it interesting. And what I think is where these agentic interactions might be going, where it's not just chatting back and forth, prompting back and forth. It's using a UI that is custom to you to perform agentic tasks. I live in this bubble. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. This is a big part of where my job is right now. This is probably not the best example of a canvas, but it's how I'm working. One of my coworkers made like a Kanban board where as you move a card over, it kicks off an agentic session, and then when it's done, the card automatically moves itself to like in review. It's an example. Once again, people have been building prototypes of their apps in a canvas to see if they're happy with it, and then they implement it in the real code base. There's a lot of things you can do. It's a sandbox that's a UI that can talk to agents. I would love to know your thoughts. It's experimental, it's early. You can ask questions about it, or you could say, this is not something I would ever use in my life. And honestly, that's good feedback. But I honestly really like just having Brain Story back, which was my old app for my startup, because I love being able to talk out my ideas. Like one of the videos I want to make is on startup equity and talking about it. And so I talked through my whole plan, talked through the outline that I want to do, where the AI didn't like write any of my ideas. It just helped me by asking me questions about my ideas. I don't really like this way of organizing work, as in you'd run multiple sessions at the same time. I prefer the single task all way, even with AI. Real, yeah. I personally don't multitask that much when it comes to AI tools. Ooh, centered. Blah. Okay, there we go. I don't think that way, but I know I'm wrong. Or not wrong. Wrong is not the right word. I know that I am a bit of a pleb in that way, and probably not a full-on AI believer. Does it require a lot of context switching? No, depending on how you build it. That app was the GitHub Copilot app. You can go to it at gh.io/app. I have some coworkers where they are so, I don't want to say agent pilled, but that's the only AI pilled. Like, they organize themselves in a way for work to be done in parallel. And I admire it. I just can't do it. It doesn't work for me, honestly. I really like doing one thing at a time. We're one of the projects that I am working on, and like, I made a video about it, and I like hesitate to post it because I just do. Maybe I'll make it unlisted and share it with friends. We'll see. But one of my side projects that I'm working on, I've been working on specs for this project for literally like 2.5 years or something. I've been working on specs for it for forever, and I keep trying to make it perfect so that I can take those specs and start implementing. And I kind of had this realization just yesterday where I was like, all of these tech bros just ship, and they don't think about perfection. They ship it and then they fix things later. And I should just use AI more. Is this where I need to just send a fleet of like 5-10 agents to just implement my project based on all these specs that I've written and then fix it? I don't know. I do think work in general suffers the more people multitask. Yeah, exactly. Where it's not that I'm not a believer in multitasking. I do like the feeling of multitasking, where if I kick off an agent while streaming right now, I feel good about it, because it's like, ooh, some work is being done on the side while I'm like talking on a stream. But do you know where they're gonna get around to the fix it part? Fair, good commentary. That was great. But Yeah, no, there's a whole lot of slop in the world, and I have a feeling, so I shouldn't be multitasking working while having Twitch on. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a reckoning and a lot less slop, in my opinion. Who knows? Also, ignore this. It's called a Begleri. I made it for myself, where I just like took a couple marbles and then wrapped it around a string. I saw people playing with it on Reddit, and then I was like, you're spending $30 on that. I could make one for $5. I think it cost me $7. And so if you see me doing this, that's all that is. But anyway, because AI is now getting more expensive, people are bought in. Like the drug dealers have done their job, and they have gotten people addicted to the tools enough at scale. Now they're going to be increasing prices. And I'm not saying this as a GitHub employee, even though indeed I am. I mean, in general, all of these companies will be increasing prices until there's some kind of improvement. Local models will be getting better. People are going to figure out their ways to use it. And so there's going to be less slop, in my opinion, because it's too expensive to make slop, in my opinion. You know? Even Apple's increasing prices. Yeah. And tokens will be free in closed beta. Exactly. Like everything is inexpensive until it's not. Once you're addicted, then they increase the price. That is how capitalism works, and that is how these things work. And so right now, like for example, if you have a subscription to GitHub Copilot, which I saw there was a question, you can sign up for it again. They had like paused signups for a while, and I'm pretty sure you can sign up again, because people were spam making accounts and taking advantage of the old pricing model, and the amount of spam was insane. Now that pricing is more realistic and Copilot gives you, trying not to be a shill, Copilot gives you access to all of the different models via one subscription, you still have to pay like this is what a token costs, but you could switch between GPT models and Claude models with just the model switcher, and it just automatically works, which is nice. Gemini models, open models, bring your own key, all that jazz. And so now that things are going to be more expensive, the actual cost they were supposed to be all along, I have a feeling we're going to see less slop, I hope, and more effort, because people actually have to put their money where their mouth is. But I don't know. Let's see. I recognize the usefulness of AI in certain areas, but I still like to do some stuff myself. I created a 3D engine where you create assets by programming, and I told Gemini, based on a race car example, create a chair, and it was surprisingly good. Interesting. Yeah. At the office, people say the cost should be 10x what it is now. I don't think 10x is realistic. And here's the thing. What we're seeing is a whole lot of people, this is metaphor incoming, we're seeing people drive to the grocery store in a monster truck instead of a Prius. We're seeing people say like, no, I want to use Claude Opus 4.8 for everything, instead of writing a script where they could do something more deterministic, writing a script, and then use Claude Haiku for everything around it. You know? You can do a whole lot with less, and because it's been kind of a free-for-all for all of the models and all of the addictions, using Codex instead of a GPT 5.4 mini or whatever, people they haven't developed good habits around AI model usage as a whole, as what I'm seeing at a macro level because of where I am with my role and seeing how people are using things. And so I think we're going to see a whole lot of education on how to use models more efficiently, how to use a self-hosted local model and switch between those and figure out, okay, when to use what models for what. And I feel like that's the practice that we need as a technical society before blowing up our bills. I don't think 10x is ridiculous unless you're doing things wrong, honestly. If the only tool you have is a hammer, etc. Exactly. Sometimes you don't need a hammer. Sometimes you just need like a little shrimp fork. It really different tools fit jobs differently, and I think the problem is there isn't a lot of education out there that's easily accessible for this. And I'm going to turn on a little rant hat for a second on this subject, on like availability of content. I think because everything is changing so much, things are expensive, things are not, things are free, things are not, new tools are coming up all times. I work at GitHub on AI tools regularly, and I still feel behind myself. I think a lot of people are seeking comfort and answers when the answers are increasingly "it depends" more than ever. And so right now, in terms of where content is and the state of technical content on the internet, everybody is flocking to the particularly popular podcasts, tech people, YouTube channels, and so on and so forth. Read between the lines how I say things. People are flocking to those popular things because the ones who are loud and angry and declaring they have all the answers provide a funky level of comfort to people. And as a result, a lot of the people who are kind of in the middle trying to give nuance, the algorithms are pushing them away. And content isn't as fun to make anymore because I can put a ton of effort into a coding video talking about the nuances of these things, and it might get 100 views or something like that. And so, yeah, I see the commentary in the chat. So it's like, it's a really weird time to produce the kind of education that I want to exist in the world, because people want comfort, because that comfort of the loud opinion is better for their brains, even though it might not be received and delivered the way they want, rather than a nuanced take, because the nuanced take doesn't necessarily give the answers. You know, I have a lot of thoughts on this, but and I hope that makes sense. I think that like we're just in a transitionary time in the industry right now, and it'll be interesting to see where we are in a month, 3 months, 6 months, you know. I use Claude AI and Claude Code. I paid for a 1-year subscription. I never move off of Claude Sonnet 4.6, the middle balance model, and don't see much difference. It helped me get what I get done. Yeah. No, like I saw someone the other day that used Opus to write a commit message. You don't need that. First of all, you can write a commit message. You have the ability. But also, Opus for a 1-line commit message? Come on. The demos in the office are strange. A guy showed a program that consumed 1,285 out of 200,000 tokens in 5 minutes. That gives you 12 hours of usage at that rate. I was not impressed by the demo. I don't know what model he was using. I think we all need to remember that all of the AI tools take a lot of repos. They do take a lot of content. A lot of content is trained, for sure. I want to see how it looks when the dust settles. Same. I would love to fast forward to like December and see what's going to happen, you know? I'm not sure if most of my work would benefit from switching models frequently. I tend to work on larger architectural stuff down to the minute details. I'm not sure I would use Haiku in any of those places right now. Yeah, and I think that's where, once again, it depends. It depends. That's a really good example where you probably won't. But that's not what people are going to say. They're going to be like, no, Haiku sucks. No, it just doesn't fit your use case. But if I write it, how would it say co-authored by Claude? Good point. Prompt, change the headline to H1 versus changing the headline to H1. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes so many of the things that it's doing, I'm just like, I know how to do this. I should just type. And I'm trying to like not remember how to type, because I still do. You know, it's really nice using CodePen right now where there's no AI autocomplete or anything, and just like writing some code to think about a problem. And It'll be interesting to see how much we do that over time as a society. I miss the lowercase misspelling of commit messages by real people. Yeah, everyone's so verbose now and so detailed. I would like to fast forward to the normal hardware prices again, please and thanks. Ooh, I got bad news for you. Oh my word. It feels like building a chair with your hands. Yeah, no, like, I think there's a time and a place for everything. Like, in carpentry, this is an example I heard at work the other day. There's people who do like the very intricate Japanese joinery, and then there's IKEA. You still build things in different ways. There's pre-built furniture, there's furniture you build, there's furniture that other people build, there's furniture that gives you shortcuts. There's room for everything. And I feel the same way with software, where I feel like there's room for a lot of different things, and it depends on what your goals are. And for the project that I was mentioning earlier, for me, I'm realizing that some of the projects that I've been overthinking for forever, I should just hand it off to these tools that can give me the shortcut to the part that I do want to work on. A lot of my projects are ones where I'm just like, oh, I have to set up all of these functions, I have to set up all this, all that, and I really just want to write CSS for the project that I want to ship. I should have AI do that, some of that work for me, where I'll still probably have to handhold, and honestly, I'm in the middle of a session right now where I do have to handhold a lot, but it's nice to have some of that work done that I've been dragging my feet on. I made a video on my YouTube channel a few weeks ago where, once again, nuanced takes, and yet nobody wants to hear those. And I'm not trying to say woe is me, I'm just, again, commentating. Where in my app to-do meter, which is a to-do list with a progress bar, I've been wanting to add a local API for forever, where when you run it, you can toggle on a local API where you can then add things to the list from various surfaces and have to-do meter be your to-do list that lives in this app and your dashboard for everything across surfaces. I just wasn't doing it because I didn't want to deal with updating the middleware and everything. Then I used AI. I tossed it into Copilot. I wrote up the specifications, and I was like very precious about it because I have hand wrote so much of that code base. I wanted it to be perfect. And now it's in the app. And it not only has an API, it has a local MCP server. So I could say, like, take all of these issues and add it to to-do meter, and it'll just do it. And that was the kind of thing where it was a learning for me, where that I was dragging my feet a lot unnecessarily because I like, there was a blog post I read recently. We mourn our craft. So much of software feels like a craft to us because that's how we've been building. Whoa, Tom, your 6-year mod anniversary? That's wild. Thank you, Tom. 6 years. Y'all, we're getting old. 6 years ago, I was in my 20s. And it was the pandemic. Yeah, he deserves a raise. Okay, yeah. I'll give you a high five sometime. Anyway, AI is cool. AI is problematic. We live in a society. The bros are shipping. We should probably be shipping too. There's no ethical consumption under capitalism. We're dealing with a lot. Companies are laying people off saying it's AI, but it's actually because they overhired in 2021, and now we have to deal with the consequences of short-sighted leadership. But, you know. Hello, welcome new to Twitch. Ali Strat, welcome, welcome. Capitalism, writing in all caps. Yeah, I want to shout a whole lot, but we gotta do the best we can. I know some folks who were laid off recently, and like, they didn't actually like their jobs, but their jobs paid well, and some people worked for companies that are not awesome in society, but they paid well, and people gotta pay bills, and I can't blame anyone. And this is, I don't know what even this commentary is on. I'm just commentating on society. It feels like a really weird time to be alive. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think it is. Hang on one second. I just got a work message. Is this something I really have to worry about? this is a scary question to ask. Can someone go to a GitHub repo right now and just any repo, does it load? Are we having an outage? Please tell me. Here, you can click this link. Does it load for you? It's loading for me, so maybe everything's fine. It loads great. Cool. Wonderful. Awesome. Phew. Phew. Goodness gracious. Wonderful. Had a little scared moment. The social media mentions that I get when GitHub is down affects me personally, so I had to check. Yeah, DNS, cache, all that jazz. But yay, I'm so glad that it's loading for you. Wonderful. Now I don't have to pay attention to that message. Can someone see if they can see the private key in this repo too? Yeah, exactly. Oh, goodness. Goodness. One second, let me just make sure. I don't have to look at this, right? You know, sometimes you get a message. Okay, phew. So sometimes you get a message from a certain group of people or a certain executive and your heart sinks just a little bit. Had one of those notifications and it was fine. Phew. Anyway, building stuff. Are y'all building anything cool? Can someone subscribe for Twitch 6 years so I can try something at Twitch? You saying that made me anxious. I know, right? Yeah, it's a thing. It's been happening a lot lately. I had to take a call. Here's one that might make you a little sweaty, make your eye twitch. I had a call from an executive at 1 a.m. this week. Granted, I should not have been awake at 1 a.m. I should not have been online at 1 a.m. I was trying to catch up on emails, and then I had a call from an executive at that time who saw I was online. The fear in my heart, and it ended up being literally nothing. He just happened to be online because he's on vacation. He was like, hey, what do you think of this feature? Like, that was literally it. And that should be illegal. But it is not. And it's fine. I'm glad that I get FaceTime with execs like that, but am I? That was a really scary call. Yeah. Do y'all want to see a weird 3D printed trophy that I got that my manager made? Look, it's an Octocat, but it's also like an Oscar. Isn't that fun? That is illegal in Germany? No way. I built this Python IDE web app. Oh, neat. Oscocat. Oh my gosh, that's genius. But yeah, this is very fun, right? It's definitely weird, but I love it. I got it because I did like a vibe coding thing for Microsoft Build, and so it says best vibes on it. Cassie Williams best vibes. Also 3D printed. It's so fun, and it's so silly. And I showed it to my toddler, and she looked at it, and like, she knows what an Octocat is because, once again, I work here. But she looked at it and she just was like, is that an Octocat? With like slight fear in her voice, and it was so funny. Here we are. My commands are not working, Maddie 18505, but this is on Epidemic Sound. I have a subscription, so that way the platforms don't ban me for using music. My commands work like 50% of the time. Yeah. My kid would have been like, where are the tentacles? Yeah, I almost asked that, but I don't know if I would want tentacles. Well, I could see it like looking cool if it was like, bleh. One of the things that we're discussing now internally is for GitHub Universe, how do we make the stage uniquely GitHub? Where like different from all of the other keynotes in the world, different from all of the other things, because we have found, how do I phrase this? The weirder GitHub is, the better it does. I've been trying to beat the drum that GitHub needs to be weirder than we are. And we've like been teetering into we are a serious company territory, and I think it would be way more entertaining and interesting for developers if the keynote stage was weird. Also, this is an open question if you have ideas. My current pitch is that we have someone in a Mona, like an Octocat costume, acting like the Pied Piper, walking to the stage, and then developers follow the Octocat playing the flute all the way up on the stage, and then they chant like, it's mergin time, and we like lead that. I think that would be hilarious. So far, nobody has thought that's a good idea. Weird. And so I'm trying to come up with better ideas that could be on the Octocat stage. Nothing says weird better than giving $500K of Microsoft's money to me. Fair. I want the 8 arms to play 8 flutes. I love that. Fun fact, the Octocat has only 5 arms. Yeah. I want to I want to come up with some good ideas. I also said that we should do some kind of Mona fashion show. Mona is, again, the name of the Octocat, where we have so many stickers. I actually have them next to me. We have so many Octocat stickers. 1 second as I pull some out of like different GitHub mascots doing a bunch of fun and silly things. What if we had people dressed up as the various Octocats, and then they throw stickers at people of the mascot they're dressed up as? Where like, if I'm dressed up as like this detective Octocat, I just throw Octocat detective stickers at people. That'd be fun, right? Octocat cosplay competition. That's really fun. I do actually like that idea. I think there should be more Octocat costumes, and nobody has said yes. But yes, it should have been called a Pentacat all along. You're right. If you can get some famous EDM producer to remix developers. Oh, I know. That apparently is a touchy subject internally. And you have to earn the right to chant developers. I have not earned it yet, but that is apparently an actual thing. Each exec is dressed as each of the Octocat arms and has to wear the costume the entire event. I think that would be so good. I want people to dress up as Octocats. And I don't know why nobody has said yes, but they don't want to be... They want to be silly but taken seriously. And I get it. Because we do have to make money, and we do have to talk to customers, where like GitHub Universe is very much a developer conference, but where a lot of like buyers and businesses decide like what plans are they going to sign up for and stuff. And so there's elements of seriousness, but developers are the primary audience. And so we have to make it a little funky. I was saying that what if we recreated like the Reddit place thing, but inside an Octocat logo shape. Like if it's this shape on the back of the stage, then people in person and online can draw in there, which granted, that would take some moderation, but it would be fun because then it shows like how many people are contributing to this big thing. Wait, you can't be silly and take it seriously? That must be where I've gone wrong. There's a balance. And unfortunately, the balance is very, very hard to meet depending on who you talk to. A bagpipe where the bag is the Octocat and the pipes are tentacles. That's incredible. Velcro wall. Yeah. Something. And like for example, I don't know if y'all saw last year. Let me something that our team did last year. There's a day one keynote, which is like all the big things that like all the big company announcements. That's where those exist. But then day 2, we have a little bit more control as a team. And one of the things that we did on day 2 last year, and when I say we, I mean like my team, because I was on maternity leave, is they made a Furby organ where one of our engineers is an actual concert pianist, and she played a Furby organ where as she played the piano, all the Furbies sang the notes and like danced and blinked slowly, and it was very creepy, but incredible, and like just excellent shenanigans. And whenever people talk about the GitHub Universe keynote last year, they talk about this weird organ. Because it's weird and fantastic. A Furbkin, yes. Sorry, I stumbled over my words because I saw Furbkin out of the corner of my eye. That's funny. But yes, it was a Furby organ. And so, we need to continue doing funky things like that. I composed a piece in music class in college that called for a cat piano. Yeah, that. We need to do more fun things. Okay, Tom, I'm stealing ideas, but the Path of Exile Con was held, and they had a card game, and everyone at the con got basic items to start, and you could find employees to slowly beat. Ooh, and then the CEO and CTO were the bosses. I love that. And that's actually something, I had suggested something like that, where, like, what if we made, like, a scavenger hunt or some kind of game where, like, you didn't have to be in person to play, but some kind of game where if you were in person, you did get certain bonuses, but you could find things on the github.com platform itself. Things were, like, mentioned in the keynote. Make it like a giant puzzle or game of some kind, and yeah, you get like fabulous prizes at the end. I feel like that could be incredibly fun. I feel like that could be neat. I also thought it'd be funny if we did like smell-o-vision, and you could like get smell-o-vision cards on the GitHub shop or in person. But then I was like, who are you smelling? Would it just be like the cologne of the exec talking? So that idea, I don't know if it will work very well, but maybe we could suddenly be like, look, this smells like a blueberry. And it's AI. Ooh, remix celebrity squares. Yeah, I could see that. Once again, games are hard because the very corporate types don't want to be silly. But we gotta be a little bit silly. Geocaching, yes. I actually pitched a geocaching type scavenger hunt thing, and we haven't. They liked the idea until we started talking about implementation, then it didn't happen. But I like that a lot. I literally pitched that exact idea. Or like some kind of like geocaching find things in various cities. I love the idea of, escape room on the GitHub website. Or just like Easter eggs where it's like, if you inspect element on this type of button in this kind of repo, find this, password for this, yada, yada, yada. I would love to do that. I think we should. But specifically on the keynote stage, we got to do something very GitHub-y. And people were saying, oh, what if like the background were slash commands? So I was like, any AI company could add slash commands to the back. So anyway, we got to be a little more weird. What should the stage look like? This is me. I'm not even trying to crowdsource. I'm genuinely just like looking at my desk. We could have just a bunch of big, gigantic green blocks that look like your commit graph, and people have to climb out of them. They wouldn't. That would be fun, though. That would be really cool. What if we just did magic tricks? Like, you blow green smoke, and then suddenly the COO appears and is like, hello, developers. Yeah, I'll organize it for you. Believe me, if I had the power to hire and control budgets, there would be some changes. Not that I want to change my workplace. I am a very happy employee and enjoy getting direct deposit, to be clear. But yeah, I wanna be able to do some of these silly things, but you can only do so much without a bit more power. There's no war in Bossing Say. Yeah, exactly. Oh no. Okay. I'm starting to get some DMs from VPs now. I think I gotta fight a fire. Anyway, because I have to fight a fire, I'm a happy employee, but I get messages that stress me out that I have to respond to. And that being said, it was fun hanging out with y'all. I am planning on streaming next week. Like last week, hopefully I won't have an overwhelming amount of meetings, and the week before, hopefully I won't have a sty in my eye. I've gotten 4 styes in my eye since March. I have small children. Anyway, hopefully I can, you can still access your GitHub repo. Tell the VPs that, yeah. hopefully I see you all next week here on this channel. Check out my YouTube. I'm trying to build it up. I've been so swamped that I haven't been able to make as many videos as I would regularly like, but I've been trying to do a newsletter recap every week and some other occasional goodies in between, where once again some have to be unlisted because of my questionable hot takes. But same time, same bat channel. Yeah, same bat signal. I will be here at Cassadoo on most things, on Twitch, on YouTube, on GitHub, on Twitter, on Blue Sky. Not on Instagram because a teenager took that from me and she never responded when I asked for it. Not on Threads because it's connected to Instagram and I can't be bothered. Mastodon, all of that. Cassadoo. I'll see y'all next week. I sincerely hope. It was lovely hanging out. And if you subscribe to this channel or onto Patreon, we'll see you on Discord. Bye! Oh wait, try raid. I was about to say bye and say adios, but we should raid someone. Hang on one second. Let me raid before I completely exit this place. Goodness gracious, I'm disorganized. What a time. Let's go to... Oh, this person, I don't know who they are. Let's go say hi to them. Okay. We're going to do Soph streaming. Jason Langsdorff is not online, but Soph streaming is, so let's see what they're doing. Okay. Bye, y'all. See you next time.